What is your favorite season?
Awards.
Hello, gentle viewers, and welcome to another episode of Alistair Reviews It. And today we are going to be talking about the Goodreads Choice Awards. First off, I wanted to start by acknowledging the fact that today is election day. My husband and I went out to vote for the early election, and I hope that everybody gets a chance to exercise their right to vote today. So go out and vote. You can watch this video while you're waiting in line or something. It'll be your thing, you know? So today I'm going to be talking about the Goodreads Choice Awards. So the Goodreads Choice Awards have officially started as of the latter part of October. Many people in the bookish community participate in the Goodreads Choice Award, and many people outside of the bookish community as well. Really, if you have access to Goodreads, you for the most part participate in some way or another in the Goodreads Choice Awards. So this is the beginning of one of my favorite seasons, award season. A season that lasts between November and February for the entertainment industry. A season with a slew of awards for different films, music, and books. So there are two different kinds of awards that are usually given. There are, for the literary community, there are literary awards. Some of those are based off of any genre, and some are more focused on different kinds of genres. You have the Nobel Prize for Literature, you have the Pulitzer Prize, you have the Bram Stoker Award, you have the Hugo Award, and you have a vast list of awards where there are panelists, people in the literary community, actual professional critics and actual professional writers who decide who gets these awards based on their criteria. Then you have choice awards. You have choice awards that are very similar to the People's Choice Award or the MTV Movie Choice Award. And this is a category in which we, us normal folk, can actually decide who wins and who doesn't win. So this in no way really means that one book is better than the other, but it does mean that one book generated more hype than another. Whether it be that that book was a lot more funding for marketing purposes, whether it's because it already came from a popular author and that author's followership has grown over time, or whether it was just a book that took everybody by storm. The Goodreads Choice Awards gives us an opportunity for us to be able to kind of rally for the books that we believe deserve the notoriety, that we think people would really enjoy and that we think deserve more attention. So when the actual list of first draft nominees came out, a lot of people on Twitter were confused about why books such as The Burning God by R. Quine and The Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson were selected for this initial round of voting. And I was actually very curious too, so I decided to actually do a little bit of research to see what the criteria is for choosing one of the first draft nominees for the different categories. So the books must be published for the first time in English during the award year. They are both widely read and well reviewed. That means that they've garnered a lot of attention, a lot of clicks onto their page, and they already have a lot of reviews or a lot of people commenting, how much they want to actually read it. It isn't possible for an author or publisher to submit a title for consideration, so it's not their fault if their title made it. And so they also do write-in votes for the first bracket of nominees, and they include everything that was published in the English language up until the 17th of November, which makes sense for The Burning God and The Rhythm of War that are both coming out within that timeline. I know Rhythm of War is coming out by the 17th. However, then you have people like me, and I'm pretty sure Rhythm of War is going to be my favorite read of 2020. However, I cannot in good conscience vote for a book I have not read. And you're going to have a lot of people who have not read books and may not vote for these two books because they are in the initial bracket of books to vote for. It doesn't make sense to me that they didn't shift everything from October to November 17th and actually starting voting then, because that's their cutoff for all publishing. But that's neither here nor there. I do see a lot of criticisms about Choice Awards and how Goodreads what they should really do is take all the massive data that they have, aggregate it, and through all of the reviews that they have, come up with an actual best of list for each genre. I think that this wouldn't necessarily be bad. I think that it would be cool to have in conjunction with the Goodreads Choice Awards. However, this is one of the few big banner awards where people get to participate in. And I kind of like that. I kind of like the everybody voting for their favorites and then you discovering new favorites along the way. Without further ado, I would like to go through each genre just to see what there is out there and kind of discuss it a little bit. Please let me know if you've read any of these books and the genres that we're going to go through and what you think about them. And I'll let you know as well. Okay, first we have Best Fiction. So this is their kind of their mylar, their banner, Best in Fiction at the top of it. So for the most part, they just choose fiction books, not any like a sci-fi or fantasy or horror, because they have their own categories. And I will be able to tell you that of all these books right here, actually I'm going to make this smaller. Okay, anyways, I can't make it small. I will tell you that out of all of these books, I have not read a single one, so I probably won't be voting in this one. I do know that I have Frederick Bachman's The Anxious People on my TBR, and I have Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed on my TBR, but I do not have any of the rest on my TBR, and I'm not really tracking them. Let me know what you guys think of these choices. Are they accurate? Would any of you have liked to see any other choices? Which, if you do, you can always write in for this first bracket, for this first opening round bracket. Okay, next one, mystery and thriller. Ay Dios, ¿por qué me hacen eso? Okay, so we have a couple of for me not well known, but I've seen this. I've seen a lot of these books in different bookstores, and I've seen a lot of people cover these books. I just got Winter Counts a couple weeks ago, and I haven't read it yet. I think I might start it this month for Native American Heritage Month. And I know my husband got the guest list, but besides that, we haven't started any of these other books. I feel like and it's funny because, like, for the most part, if somebody reads one of these books, they're going to vote for that book unless they actually really didn't like that book. So right now, I'm planning on reading Winter's Counts, and we'll see if that makes it to the next draft. Historical fiction. Okay. So I have The Vanishing Half on my TBR. Please don't judge that. I don't read as fast as a lot of the other members of the book community, but I do have heart in what I read. And I have The Vanishing Half is on my TBR. My husband's actually reading The Deacon King Kong by James McBride. I've heard great things about The Evening and the Morning by Ken Follett. And I just got Alice Hoffman's Magic Lessons that came out last month. I read her Practical Magic books, and that's a prequel. It's a pre-prequel for her Practical Magic series. And this is, what is this? Historical fiction? And it's funny that they shelved Alice Hoffman's Magic Lessons in Historical Fiction. But from what Goodreads says is that they actually shelve all of their... They shelve based on how people shelve their books. So if people shelve their books as historical fiction, that's the categories that they're going to be nominated in. And they actually suggest that authors who want to be nominated in certain categories write a piece and write a piece basically describing how they want their books to be nominated for readers to be able to for readers to be more informed about how to shelf their books on Goodreads. And it's funny because I think lately we've seen, except for when it comes to the Goodreads Choice Awards, I think they do a pretty good job, except for maybe their timing. With the Goodreads Choice Awards, I think people get really excited about it, or upset about it. Anyways, it generates a lot of traction, and I think that it's the best time of the year for Goodreads. However, we've all experienced how Goodreads hasn't really kept up with the time. We've all, realized that the CEO and whoever's programming Goodreads is probably not doing the best job. Like, I'll type in a specific book and it won't come up. But if I type in a different book, that book will come up. And it's these like little things I think are going to start opening up little cracks in the market for other websites to compete with Goodreads. But right now, Goodreads is backed by Amazon, which is a very powerful force in the book industry. However, what are you doing, Amazon, right now? Like, what are you doing? Like, if you don't want somebody else to corner the market, actually make this website a website that we can utilize in 2020. Okay. Rant complete. Let's go to fantasy. Sweating a little bit. Okay. Now we're talking my kind of language. So, I am familiar, if not have read some of these books. The Girl and the Stars by Mark Lawrence. This is his first book in, and his first book in the Book of the Ice series, which is a companion series to the Book of the Ancestor series. And I loved the Book of the Ancestor series, and I know everybody's hyped about it, but I haven't heard the best things, so I've kind of put it off. I think I'm kind of waiting for him to put out a second book and see what people think right now, because I'm reading so many books right now. For Jim Butcher's Peace Talks, I have just started the Dresden Files, so I am not at the end of my timeline, but I've heard really good things about Peace Talks. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets voted up there. But then again, it's harder for books that have like 10, 12 books or more in a series to actually generate as much like attention around them. The Bone Shard Daughter, I don't actually know much about it. An empire controlled by bone shard magic. Ooh, I love bone magic. Lynn, the former heir of the Emperor, will fight to reclaim her magic and her place on the throne. The Emperor's reign has lasted for decades. I'm not logged in right now, but I'm going to add that to my one to read. I'm probably going to add all of these. The House on the Cerulean Sea, I'm still reading it. It was on my Pride TBR, and I'm still reading it right now. It's been taking me a while, but I'm really liking it so far. It's not one of those, for me, it's not a fast-paced read, but for me, it's kind of a palate cleanser read so far, and I'm enjoying it. And it would be amazing to see a book with a gay main character win this. Then we have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I'm currently reading, and I am really, really enjoying. And I've read some of her other works before. I really liked Vicious, and I also liked the writing in the A Shades of Magic series. However, the series wasn't really for me, so I'm really hoping that I'll be loving this as much as everybody else is. The Once and Future Witches. I don't know about Alexei Harrow. The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. I think that this one has a very good chance of winning. N.K. Jemisin has really been destroying it, both with really Reader's Choice and in the literary awards and fellowship communities. And it's actually been really exciting to watch somebody who so deserves all the attention she's getting to actually get that attention. And then we have Brandon Sanderson's Rhythm of War. Again, I have not read it. However, I think he's put out up until his 18th chapter in this book. So he's actually garnered a lot of hype around the book, just allowing people to read up until the 18th chapter. And I think he has like the second audiobook chapter out on his YouTube channel. So there is an argument to be made that people have already read a significant chunk of the book, and that they might be able to make a educated guess off of that. I have not read any of the 17 chapters. I'm going to be waiting until the week that it comes out and then doing that, and I'm actually really excited. Now we have Empire of Gold. Don't know anything about it. The Empress of Salt and Fortune. Also don't know anything about it. Black Sun. I've heard good things about Black Sun, and I heard it's actually written by a Native American, which would be great to pick up for Native American Heritage Month. And then, of course, we have The Burning God by R.F. Kuang, her third and final book in the Poppy War trilogy. So a lot of people have been highly anticipating this book, and I've already seen a few ARC reviewers say that it's one of their favorite books of the year. Now, let's go into horror. This year, unlike many other years, I actually delved into horror for spooky season and had a pretty excellent time. For the most part, I think of this as a subgenre to fantasy, and I think that helps me a lot. And from these books, let me know. So these are the books that were nominated. Let me know what you think of them. The books I did read out of this selection are Mexican Gothic, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and The Year of the Witching. And let me tell you, all three of these books are well deserved in this category. I'm a little surprised by seeing The Year of the Witching shelved as a horror book and not a fantasy book, but it's really a horror fantasy. It's really a horror fantasy. I liked Mexican Gothic. I thought it was a really excellent Gothic Mexican vibe. I'm Mexican, and I love Gothic things, so it kind of worked for me. My husband and I read that together. And then The Year of the Witching was perfect for spooky season, and to get that witch vibe, it's basically a reimagining of Salem, and it's a reimagining of Salem, all told through the viewpoint of a biracial witch that is coming into her powers. And then we have my latest read, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. And let me tell you, I was shook by this book. It was so freaking good. It was so good in so many ways. Grady Hendrix, he knows how to write a book. I'm really I'm going to delve into some of his other horror books when we round the corner back into fall again, because I kind of want to take my time. I kind of want to take my time with this author, and I'm hoping that I do like his other books. Because there's some authors where I'm like, oh, really love this one book of yours, but the rest of your books I don't like. But I really love this book of his, and I'm really hoping that I love the rest of his books. Humor. So I have not read anything, I don't think, in humor, but let me know what you guys think of this selection. And we're going to be going through the rest of the categories pretty fast. Just overview so everybody can see it, and we're going to have a discussion down below. So, this one was non-fiction. I've heard good things about hood feminism. Good things about it. Okay, anyways, we have Best Memoir and Autobiographies. I've heard a lot of good stuff about almost all of these books. Science and Technology. I didn't even know that was a category. I'm going to jump to graphic novels. Fangs, that looks good. I've heard some good things about Beast Boy. Debut novel, This one always like has a lot of like hype that goes with it. Ooh, Cemetery Boys. I think Aiden Thomas did a really good job, so I wouldn't mind seeing him on there. Also, Alexis Henderson also did a really good job. You know, I'm actually surprised that that's her debut novel. Like, I think she wrote like an actual. I think she wrote like somebody who has experience in the industry. Young adult fiction. So, I haven't read any of these. I've heard really good things about most of these. Young adult fantasy and science fiction. Again, we talked about Cemetery Boys, which I've read. I've heard a lot of good things about all of these. What? The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes is YA? I really thought of it as more of an adult book. Like, I get that the series was YA, but that book ain't YA. I don't know. Maybe it is YA. It just didn't read like YA. It just didn't read like YA. Legendborn, I'm reading this one in December, so if it's still around, that would be fun. And Starsight, I actually haven't read this one. I've had it since last December, where my husband gave it to me for Christmas. So I'm excited for this. Let's do middle grade real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, middle grade. I haven't read anything really in middle grade for the longest time. But I kind of want to go back into it a little bit. Maybe one or two books at a time. Let me know what you guys thought about this year's opening round nominees for the Goodreads Choice Awards. Remember, it is a popularity contest, but this is a contest where people actually get to, go for the authors that they stand, go for and really advocate for the books that they want out there. And I am really curious as to what books you guys would like to win these categories. Let's have a very nice and polite discussion down below. You can get out there, go vote. If you're in the US and if you're elsewhere, have an extremely nice day. Adios, gentle viewers. And until next time.